Jenifer Rajkumar, it's so great to welcome you back on ITV Gold. Congratulations. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good, thank you.
Of course, we have to start this by the massive victory you got. You are the first South Asian American woman to be elected in the New York State Assembly for District 38. So I have to ask you, starting this interview, how are you feeling today and how has this process been for you?
I feel incredibly grateful. I'm filled with gratitude for the people that elected me. They put their faith and trust in me, and this really is their victory. It's been an incredible journey. It's taken me all around South Queens, and I'm so inspired by all of the people I met and the stories I heard, and I can't wait to get to work.
Yes, definitely. How has the response been so far, Jenifer? Your district is one of the most diverse districts, in Queens. It houses a lot of South Asians as well. How have they been reacting?
The reaction has been of incredible pride. The community is so proud that finally a South Asian woman has been elected in New York State. Because even though we have 300,000 South Asians, we've never had anyone elected from our community. And now we finally have a seat at the table of power in New York State.
Yes,
And so I heard from many families across the district, Guyanese and Bengali and Punjabi families, all calling to congratulate me. And I'm so happy to share this victory with them.
Yeah, definitely. Such a great moment for us South Asians. How was the turnout, Jenifer? I know in primaries you broke the record for turnouts of your district. How was it this time?
Once again, the general election was also record breaking in this district. So I'm so proud that we were able to energize the district. And of course, also the presidential race also helped energize voters. I've never seen lines like this in South Queens. Even in the early morning, 5:30 a.m., there were lines stretching outside of the poll site. It really was a sight to behold.
Yes, for sure. Jenifer, you are the first South Asian American elected to the New York State Assembly office. There's another South Asian American who's also been elected to the office for the first time. He's a male. What do you think are going to be the changes that the two of you bring together to the State Assembly? What kind of issues do you hope to target, especially being a South Asian American?
What I'm going to focus on is constituent services, for one. My district is 72% immigrant. And these immigrant communities have been overlooked and underfunded for a very long time. I'm going to change that. And my office is going to be a place where immigrants can come for help in navigating America, navigating our courtrooms, our government, our educational system. So I'll be setting up strong offices across the district where people can come for help. And for the first time, immigrant communities will have a place where they can go and where they will be heard.
Yes, for sure. You are taking up office, Jenifer, while we are in the COVID-19 crisis. There is a racial unrest and we're in an economic crisis. I would like for you to address all these three topics and what is going to be on your agenda for these, especially on the fact that COVID-19 cases are currently rising as we speak.
Yes, my district here in Richmond Hill actually has the second highest coronavirus positivity test rate this week. So that's alarming. Richmond Hill also is a place that has not even one HHS testing site. New York City Health and Hospitals has not set up even one testing site. So this has to change. The Richmond Hill area needs attention. And I am very hopeful with the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because Biden just released a comprehensive coronavirus recovery plan for the country, and that includes investing in increased testing, tens of millions of additional tests per day. So I am going to be an advocate to make sure that that attention is also given to South Queens, that federal aid flows freely into my district.
Could you let us know how much help is needed currently, Jenifer? And if we are going into the second wave of coronavirus, looking at your district, which is so badly hit by it, what are the needs? What is the status of PPE? What could you tell us?
The needs are enormous in so many areas. We have to look at the vaccine, which is coming. And we will need I believe to make that vaccine free for all Americans, Joe Biden has predicted $25 billion in investment just to make that a vaccine free for all Americans. So that's going to be key. It's also going to be key to make sure that that vaccine is distributed widely within my district. So I'm going to be a strong advocate for that as well. And then I'm going to be focusing on the economic rebuilding of my district. Right. 1 million Americans are now unemployed. And you can see those numbers in my district where workers are struggling. So it's going to be a top priority of mine to help rebuild our small businesses and also give workers the extra help they need so that they can make it through this very difficult time.
How do you think the state assembly has been doing so far, Jenifer, according to you?
I think the state assembly has been definitely trying. Right. There have been innovative bills floated, such as one that would require insurance companies to pay out to businesses whose operations have been interrupted by the coronavirus. And I think that would help businesses stay afloat. So I'm looking very closely at bills that have been proposed already that I think would benefit my constituents. And I'm looking forward to adding my perspective and my energy and my representation to make sure that South Queens fully rebuilds.
Yes, and that's so important. We are looking at such devastations around us. How are you addressing the racial unrest, Jenifer? The Black Lives Movement has continued. We have still seen incidents of police brutality while this movement has continued to, encompass a lot more in this nation. How do you look at it being a South Asian, being a person of color? And what will you do to help the constituents of your district?
As a South Asian woman and also as a longtime civil rights lawyer, this issue is very important to me. It is very important that all Americans are treated with decency and respect. So I'm going to be a strong advocate to make sure that trust is built between minority communities and law enforcement. Additionally, there's been the problem of hate crimes in South Queens. That's been a long-standing problem. An imam was murdered in broad daylight, a Hindu priest was attacked, and Sikhs regularly tell me of harassment that they have experienced. So I'm going to be somebody that's going to make sure that my constituents are protected. There is no place for hate in my community. And I'm going to bring all stakeholders to the table to ensure that hate crimes no longer occur here.
Right, definitely. There is an increase of hate crime when you are looking at South Asian communities, especially in the Sikh American communities, really high rate of bullying as well. So I really hope you're able to, help them out and there is a lot of change made. Jenifer, at this point, I would like to discuss something that's very important and I'd like to now go into the presidential election. But my first question on that has to be, there is a lot of conspiracy right now about voter fraud. Election integrity has been challenged. So just starting off with your election and looking at the New York State elections, was there any evidence of voter fraud? Have you heard anything on your end?
I've heard zero reports of fraud of any kind. What I have seen is incredible voter turnout like we've never seen before in my district and all over the country. And that is going to be very good for the country for the long run. I think that this is how it is to stay. This kind of high turnout, right, it's going to repeat. And I'm very excited about that. I think it's good for democracy and it's good for the health and welfare of our nation.
Yes, definitely. And it was really important to get your opinion on that because, again, we have President Donald Trump right now claiming voter fraud, challenging with lawsuits. So, just on that, let's begin a little conversation on it. How are you processing all that's happening in the White House? And how are you looking at this transitioning process, which is looking very difficult right now?
Well, first of all, I'm so proud and inspired by the historic win of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That said, I think it's very important that the president promotes a peaceful transition of power. That's a Central American value. In fact, on this very day, 4 years ago, President Obama invited the newly elected President Trump to the White House to create a peaceful transition of power. and they met for 90 minutes. And this is even though Donald Trump had spent years criticizing Obama, saying that he wasn't even American, he wasn't born in America, that he had even founded ISIS. Despite all of this, President Obama invited him to the White House. So that's the kind of grace that I would like President Trump to also show. He should be really instilling and promoting that American ideal of the peaceful transition of power.
You know, Jenifer, you are a lawyer, so I would like to discuss a little bit of the legality in all that's happening. From a perspective of a lawyer, is there any weight to these allegations? And does President Trump have the right to, question the election integrity? How could you explain that to us?
I think that these are weak claims that the president's lawyers are making. I do not think that they will be successful in court. I believe in our justice system and in our lawyers, and I believe that the courts will end the election for us.
Okay, what courts are you suggesting, and do you think it'll go to Supreme Court?
I think it very well may go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, given that this is a presidential election.
Right.
And then it will be up to the court to stop the buck there.
Wow. How do you foresee the next few months with the transitioning process? What could you tell us about from the Democratic Party side?
I think it's very promising. I think that Joe Biden has already been building a good transition team. He created a coronavirus team that's filled with scientists and doctors, including 2 Indian Americans, Atul Gawande and Dr. Vivek Murthy.
Right.
So it's very promising to see that we have a president, once again, who believes in science and who believes in medicine. It is so important that we're returning to that belief in science. That is what's going to see us through this pandemic.
And what have you felt about Vice President-elect Kamala Harris and her impact, especially on women of color?
It's really been incredible. There have been memes on social media saying that the glass ceiling is broken and the glass ceiling is all over the floor, so all women better wear their shoes because there's so much glass. People are so excited, including me. I mean, I never would have thought that in 2021 we would have a South Asian woman as Vice President of the United States. That's really a remarkable achievement. And if you think about our history, this is the suffrage centennial. So it's been exactly 100 years since American women got the right to vote. And now, finally, we are also electing a woman to the vice presidency. I think that within 10 years, we'll have a woman president. And I'm also very optimistic about New York State. We've never had a woman governor or a woman mayor, and I know that's going to change very soon.
Yes, of course, we're all about the woman power, the female power. When you're looking at the Biden-Harris administration, and again, the South Asian community, what do you think the relationship is going to be like, Jenifer? What insight could you tell us in that matter?
I think it's going to be a very close relationship between the Biden administration and the South Asian community, simply because there's so much talent in the South Asian community. You can already see that Biden has appointed Indian Americans to his coronavirus response team.
Right.
And I think we're going to see that in all areas of the administration. I personally know many talented South Asians that have been involved in the political and government sphere for a long time that are likely candidates for jobs in the administration.
Yes, definitely. You know, Jenifer, we often talk about the South Asian voice on this network. Do you think the South Asian voice was heard and seen in this election?
I think it was seen like never before. Definitely was seen and heard here in New York State and with our vice president elect. And also there were about a half a dozen South Asian women elected to state legislatures all across the country, myself being one of them. But it's a phenomenon all across this country. And it's incredibly exciting to see the South Asian community on fire the way it is.
Yes, for sure. This is power to South Asian community. We love when our identity is being accepted, and we see so much representation such as you. I only have two questions left for you, Jenifer. The first one is about the statement Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made today when asked about the President-elect Joe Biden. He said there will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. What kind of a message do you think is sending across the nation, and what's your response to that?
I think that's a divisive message. I think that it's very important to stay true to the facts of what happened and to look at the actual numbers. One can't make up their own fiction and live there. And I think that most Americans understand what happened in this election and that facts are going to win the day, and our justice system is going to make sure that decisions are made based on fact.
Definitely. And finally, Jenifer, I would love for you to tell us how your transition process is going to be. What do you know so far? What information could we get?
My personal transition process?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, it's very exciting. I've been meeting with community groups all across the district and talking to my constituents. And I've been gathering a group of people all across the district, community leaders, that have been operating as a kind of transition team. And we are setting up an office that will unify all the neighborhoods in this diverse district. And I can't wait to get to work come January.
Yes, of course. We can't wait either. Congratulations again, Jenifer. You've really made the community proud.